If it is or if it ain't, it's going to come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl, Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspirational juice. It is August the 31st, 2022, and today the topic is well-seasoned. Good morning, everyone. I hope that you all had a great day yesterday. Mine was just fine. Not too much to report in regards to things that I did. I do think I had a pretty important conversation yesterday, but all of that ain't your business, so I won't get too much into it. but yeah, outside of that, I mean, nothing too significant happened. Yeah, I mean, we ended up going to work yesterday, and then the little guy and I had, home time, and yeah. I mean, hey y'all, there's a lot on my mind this morning, but I guess I'll start with, the subject at hand, which is the juice. Basically, I woke up this morning with the conversation that I had last night on my heart and mind, but and part of me was like, am I going to end up talking about that? Like, is that the topic for today, Lord? Oh God. Because again, it's, some of it's not necessarily shareable, I would say. But, however, I think maybe they do coincide, this topic of well-seasoned and the conversation I had last night. Long story short, yeah, I listened to the prayer meditation this morning, and it was telling me that I am the salt and everything like that. And that was a great reminder, great reminder. There were some things that stood out to me. And so I ended up looking up Bible verses centered around that as well. I mean, y'all know, anybody that reads the Bible, most likely you know that anything referring to seasonings of some sort is usually salt, right? So that's what I looked up my Bible verses around this morning. Salt. I think I'm going to read some things that might be familiar to all of us, but yeah, I'll share what the Lord shared with me this morning in the prayer meditation, which, like I said, was a good reminder and coincides with everything. So here we go. Let's get into it, y'all. Matthew 5:13. It says, "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet." Yeah, I mean, when you just listening to that verse, you can, I mean, I can pretty much picture it all. It's like, okay, there's salt, and, usually we put salt in food, and, it's something that is, people, enjoy well-seasoned food, and yeah, if the salt doesn't have any flavor, then, it's pretty much dirt, I guess, that's what I'm receiving when I hear that verse. But then I guess the thing that stood out to me this morning in the prayer meditation is it was saying that, if we are believers without the flavor of God, then it's the same, and I think, yeah, that was one of the examples that really, really stood out to me this morning, because, at the end of the day, again, yeah, we all claim to be believers. We all claim to be Christians. We all claim to be, people that believe. But then it's like, where are your Christ-like attributes? That's what we have to ask ourselves. I have to ask myself too, where are my Christ-like attributes? And if I do think about the conversation I was having last night, one of the things that stood out to me was that, the person was wondering, like, about, like, for example, how I do this every morning these days. Basically how I've been doing this since 2020. And the thing is, again, I think I share it all the time, but, just to reiterate here, you know, uh, Miracle years ago probably would have been discouraged by now, with this project, with this endeavor of GSL. Yeah, I do feel like there is a little bit of an extra boost or something in me now that I didn't have years ago that, inspires me and encourages me to keep going and doing things like this, for example. Um, Regardless of if I see the outcome or not. And I think, because I was thinking about that, and as I also was thinking about that competition that I was telling y'all about last week, which I haven't recorded it, but anyway, some more things came into my heart and mind to write down about that, so I did. And so reflecting on both of those things, right, the conversation I had last night, as well as this faith hope conversation. I think it's like how the Bible says just now. At the end of the day, you know, all I can do is really share my testimony at the end of the day, and all I can do is share what God has done for me, right? With me, for me, and through me. And, you know, when I think about the competition, and I'm going to be sharing pretty much like how my faith was built, um, and whatnot, and where my hope comes from. But I'll just say it like this. Basically, there were significant moments in my life where I feel like God, there were crossroad moments where I ended up trusting God and being like, okay, I'm going to do this, in the hopes that, for example, what the pastor said was true. That, if I make God's wants my wants, I'm going to get what I want. Um, and then eventually, I started to see that I needed to change some things. I started to see like, okay, I need to do this differently. I need to do that differently. If I say I'm going to believe, right? If I say I'm going to do this, I got to do some things differently. And then as I did that, you know, I saw a change in me. And then I started to look at my situation differently, and everything like that. I started to appreciate, and I think I've shared this before, but if not, if y'all don't know, it was when my single woman, it was my single life journey that pretty much got me to the place where I'm at with my faith. And I know that might sound weird to people. That was the desire of my heart. That was something that I prayed and was seeking God about, and that drew me nearer to God, um, trying to get understanding of why I was in the place that I was in. And so yeah, I know that testimony might be weird and strange, but ultimately, when you guys see this now as GSL and you guys see all the things that has come from that season of my life, that's all I can really say that is me. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, yeah, okay, I'm human, and I'm not the only one that has a Christ testimony. You know what I mean? Or some type of life changing experience or whatever the case is. This just happens to be mine, and what all I did was step out on faith with the challenge of doing things God's way. And again, I wasn't perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm still not, and so and everything like that. But I do feel like God honored my prayers. God honored, the faith moves that I did make. And ultimately, uh, He gave me the desires of my heart. And I think that just ended up multiplying my faith times 10, because at the end of the day, I'm like, well, Lord, you gave me that. So, not to say what else you can give me, but like, I'm going to continue to dedicate my life and do more of what you want me to do. And ultimately, yeah, that is what leads me to do this, right? That is what leads me to, I just say everything that I have going on right now. And that's all I can do is share that. And maybe that makes it sound too simple, and maybe that makes it sound like, oh, But that's what happened with me. That's all I can say. Like, I can't sit here and pretend like it was something else, like it was some other thing. This is what this is what made me closer to God, and this is what makes me have the hope and faith that to do the things that I'm doing. Um, you know, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful and everything like that. So when I think about again this conversation of being well seasoned, right? The flavor, right, has come from the Lord. The flavor, the salts that you may see in me, for example, comes from the hope and faith in Christ. Um, and again, without that, I'm just regular old human, just like everybody else. Without that, maybe I wouldn't have the faith and hope that I have now. Maybe I wouldn't have received the desires of my heart, and everything like that. I don't know. I don't know what my life would have been like if I didn't, seek God and make faith moves, and trust Him with that. And again, that was huge for me to trust Him with my love life. Then after, He did what He did with my love life, I'm like, well, let me go on and trust you with my career too then. Let me go on and trust you with my finances too then. Let me go on and trust you with this, that, and the other too then. And this is the most free I've ever felt. And that's all I can really share at the end of the day. So, yeah. Now, that's the interesting thing as well, because they, pretty much leads me to this next verse that stood out this morning. And, to my fellow believers, share your testimony, right? Share what the Lord has done for you. I think we should always be, like the Bible says, ready to make a defense and tell everybody where our hope comes from and everything like that. But at the end of the day, again, you still have to have the flavor, right, of Christ, right? We can't be out here just, pushing things down people's throats, and because He didn't do that, He gave us all free will to choose. What else did Christ do? He showed grace and mercy. People that deserved sin, they were living in sin or whatever the case was, and they deserved the, consequences of that, but He didn't, I don't think there was anything or any sin that He was condemning. Like, the only thing that I recall, Christ straight up, I mean, now He called stuff out. I'm not going to say He didn't call stuff out. He did call things out, and then we do have the account of Him flipping the tables at the church. But outside of that, like, He didn't, like, say, oh, stay in your sin. Oh, you're doomed. Oh, you do what you're doing, so bye, leave my presence. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't see that in there. So, in my studies of the Bible, and I'm just a regular person studying, but I'm just saying I hadn't seen that yet, So with that being said, right, Colossians 4:6, it says, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. So again, there's certain people I might share something bluntly with, but then there might be certain people where I might share something with a little bit more grace. There might be certain people that you need to be strong and bold and do apologetics type of debating with, but then there's some people that just need you to listen, and everything like that. So, hey, I think that wisdom and whatnot will come from, as you grow spiritually and everything like that. But I guess that's for us, already Christian folk. There's something that the Lord has to say about that, and that's what I received this morning reading Colossians 4:6. Now, Matthew 9:50, it says, salt is good, but if the salt has lost its saltiness, it will, who? It might be who. Y'all can check that out. But who will make it salty again? Then it says, have salt in yourselves and be at peace with one another. So again, I feel like I came across several verses that kind of reiterated this same sentiment. Like if the salt doesn't have flavor, if the salt doesn't isn't salty, if the salt, I came across several verses like that. So y'all can go deeper and keep, read all of those on your own if you want. But yeah, at the end of the day, again, you don't want to be only fit for being, trampled on. You don't want to be. I want to say I came across a verse that was talking about just thrown into dung or something along those lines. I don't want my life, right. I personally want to be, like that. I don't want my salt to lose its flavor. And at the end of the day, again, we got to remember, and I think that's the humbling thing that what I was reminded of this morning, is to remember that God is the flavor. Christ is the flavor. If you're not representing that, then you're fit for these things that it's saying, and y'all, that's the juice. That is the juice this morning. The Bible verse of today is Matthew 6:6. It says, "But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret. And thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly." Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspirational juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow with the Lord's will. Bye-bye.
Hey y'all, I'm Nyla O'Neal with Anchor Providing Institute. We're located at 737 South Hill Street in Griffin, Georgia. Look, this program was birthed out of a will to help and push you closer to your dream, customizing each and every learning path for each and every student, giving you hands-on education with myself and other teammates. We're here to help you and drive you to be the best version of yourself. Look, we're a 12-week program, and it will be vigorous, but it will be worth the work. Put the work in, you will see it in the end. We are dedicated to seeing you not only finish our program, but to get certified. We are an accredited school through the National Phlebotomy Solutions, and we are so ready to meet each and every one of you. Contact us today.